up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
What an eventful day at the Ref. I tell you, Steely looked like he'd seen a ghost when we revealed to him the Urban Dictionary definition of gooning. That is what has dominated the water cooler chatter over the last 20 minutes or so.
So I'm over here listening to you guys on the YouTube while I'm watching film with some of these guys we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes.
Yep.
I turn on the text chat because I like to see what's going on.
As one does.
And I see three words. I see bulk, I see girth, and I see gooning. And I'm immediately like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm not going to
That's called Steely becoming acquainted with what the kids say these days.
I'm not going to lie. Steely's face was hilarious. I wish all of you out there in radio world could see Steely's face when I showed him the definition of what he said.
We're ready to goon it up here for another hour here on the Ref.
Nope.
The home of Sooner fans.
Nope.
Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you.
We don't do joint goon sessions here.
An hour of OU football and recruiting talk coming up. We'll try to keep this show on track as best we can. This hour of the program brought to you by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. Great staff, great prices, great service, half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So many reasons for you to make the drive out to El Reno and do business with the great folks at Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is available to you at 405-651-3439. And as we get off the ground here on this Thursday, Grayson, I want to give credit to this prompt, or for this prompt, I should say, to one of the very valued members at OUinsider.com, a fellow who goes by the screen name Bran1028. Very active on the board at OUinsider.com. He is a film grinder, knows ball, and evidently has quite a few connections at Oklahoma as well, because he'll post information at times on the team that I'm like, wait, how did you know that? So,
how would he know that?
Well, connections inside the program.
Okay.
Connections inside the program. I don't know exactly what his story is or what his background is, but one of the members that makes the experience at OUinsider.com worth the while, folks. If you're not subscribed over there, it'll only cost you a couple bucks a month, and it is well worth it for all the OU football and recruiting intel that you're fed. But earlier today, at 8:25 a.m., to be precise, and that is Central Time, Bran1028 posted a thread to the board entitled, Build a Wide Receiver Room. Build a wide receiver room. And he follows up by saying, in the body of the thread, so wide receiver is probably the position with the most recruiting clarity in this class thus far. We probably will end up taking 4 wide receivers and have 1 committed already. Of the following offers/targets, only the realistic ones, what 3 wide receivers would you add to the room? Obviously, I think the presumption right now is that Oklahoma is going to take 4 wide receivers in the 2026 class. We've discussed that. They have one on board, Daniel Odom from St. John Bosco High School out in Bellflower, California. He has committed to Oklahoma. Now, outside of Daniel Odom, there are, let me count here. Let me count once again. 7 guys that I would consider to be legitimate targets for Oklahoma. Guys that OU would like to have, and guys that have some level of legitimate interest in OU. So we're going to build a wide receiver room here, Grayson. I'll build one, you can build one.
All right.
But the 7 receivers outside of Daniel Odom that I consider to be legitimate targets are as follows. Jaden Warren 4-star receiver from Iowa Colony High School in Rocheron, Texas. Davian Gross, 4-star wide receiver from Frisco Lone Star High School. Mason James, the 4-star wide receiver from right up the road at Norman North. Alger Miles, 3-star wide receiver from Kaufman, Texas. Zion Robinson, a 4-star from, where's he from? Mansfield High.
Yes.
Jabari Brady from Coconut Creek, Florida, himself a 4-star prospect. And finally, Craig Dandridge, a very recent offer for the Sooners, a 4-star prospect from the state of Georgia that just picked up his offer from Emmett Jones within the last couple of weeks and is scheduled to visit OU for the very first time on March 8th. So, Grayson, I shot you these names earlier.
Let's do it.
You got the chance to dig into the tape. Daniel Odom is one of the 4. Which of the 7 do you think make up Oklahoma's 3 other takes at wideout?
I'm going to go from the ones, the ones that I would really, really like, to the ones that I'm not so sure about. So we've got Daniel Odom already in tow. Great. I like a guy. There's a guy here that reminds me of Elijah Thomas, the way he runs after the catch. He's got good size. I love how strong his hands are at the catch point. I like Zion Robinson a lot from Mansfield. I like that he's 6'4". He's got good speed. He's more developed of a route runner, even though he's not the best route runner in this class. I've got another guy listed for that. But the way he can get in and out and weave through defenders yards after the catch, I like a guy, especially at the college level, that you can just throw the ball to and say, go make it happen.
Yep.
So I got Zion Robinson as my first addition to Daniel Odom.
Okay.
I like Jabari Brady a lot. And the reason I like Jabari Brady a lot, he is the best route runner of this group. He creates great separation, and I like his feel for running routes in zone coverage. He finds space. He's good at, when he goes up the middle, he's good at bending it in or bending it out away from a safety, giving his quarterback a place to put the ball. I saw that on his tape. Also strong and physical at the catch point, physical at the top of his routes. He also plays DB.
Yes.
He does. So I don't know if this is a situation that'll turn into a Jacoby Johnson situation, but he is good there, and I think he uses that when he runs routes because he's really good at using a defensive back's leverage against him to create separation. So I like him. He's my number 3. The last one it came down to for me was between Jaden Warren and Mason James. This one was hard, and I really, really like Mason James. But what impressed me the most about Jaden Warren, which is what a lot of high school kids don't have, he's got really good feel for when the play breaks down. And he's really good at finding space and moving and adjusting his route back to the quarterback when the quarterback has to leave the pocket. So I really like that. I like his 10-5, 100 meters sprint.
Yeah, he can run.
He
can really run.
He can move. And he's also really good in zone coverage, especially in the red zone. So I love a guy who can just find space in zone coverage and whatnot. So he's going to round out my class. So we've got Daniel Odom already intact. I'm going to go Zion Robinson. I'm going to go Jabari Brady. And I'm going to go Jaden Warren.
Yeah, and to be clear, for anybody that's watched all 7 of these guys on tape, and I know a lot of you out there are tape grinders that like to dig into the film and get an idea of what Oklahoma's looking at with each of these guys, there are no wrong answers here. Every single one of those 7 dudes is an absolute stud. For me, the ones I like, and these are the ones that I consider to be highly realistic for Oklahoma. By the way, Chonky Chunk on the text line says, I can indeed confirm OU Insider is worth the money, but isn't Mason James a tight end? Thank you for the bump, Chonky Chuck. Yes, listen to Chonky Chuck, subscribe to OU Insider. But no, Mason James is a wide receiver and a very, very shifty, very talented one. I have long been trending towards there's one guy that I label every single cycle as my man crush. There's only one guy that gets that label
Okay.
every single cycle. if I can go back, let me think here. In 2025, it was Lincoln Cure, who at the time was a pretty lightly regarded tight end out of Goodland, Kansas, that wound up being a 5-star. Oklahoma offered him, but he chose to stay in state and commit to the Kansas State Wildcats. 2024 was Grant Bricks, an offensive lineman from the state of Iowa that Oklahoma was heavily involved with, but they ultimately lost out to Nebraska. 2023 class? Who was it in 2023? Who was the man crush? It was PJ. That's who it was. Yes.
That explains why you just won't give up on him.
I can't, man. He's too gifted. 2022, it was R. Mason Thomas. 2021, it was Caleb Williams. So they've all turned out to be pretty dang good players. Mason James is the guy that I've been trending towards giving that label for some times. For some time now, I should say, because I've gotten the chance to watch him in person on numerous occasions ever since his recruitment really started picking up steam. I am so high on that kid and his potential. I think he's the complete package. He plays bigger than he is at 5'11", 175 pounds. Really, really good at climbing the ladder and going to make contested catches.
Yeah.
Really good in and out of breaks. The start-stop, excel, decel ability is just innate. Everything about his game suggests that it's going to translate to the college level, and there aren't any conspicuous holes in his game. So I really, really like Mason James. I really, really like Alger Miles as well, and that's somebody that, I'll be honest, I didn't entirely see the vision there when Emmett Jones first offered him, because at the time, the tape wasn't stellar. It was good, but it wasn't stellar, and he was playing both sides, and there was some question as to whether he was going to end up being maybe like an outside linebacker or an edge rusher at the collegiate level instead of wide receiver. But his junior tape was sensational, and it has landed him upwards of 24 other scholarship offers. Emmett Jones was the first. Oklahoma was the very first offer for Alger Miles. He is a legit 6'2", 6'3", really well built at about 205 pounds. Feels like that's the type of body that you need in that wide receiver room with the size and physicality that he brings to the table. And then for me, I'm torn between Jaden Warren and Davian Gross, and I think Oklahoma's got a really, really good chance with both of those guys. I might give the slight edge to Oklahoma right now over Texas A&M with Gross. I do think Oklahoma's in the lead with Jaden Warren. And both of those guys have some similarities in their game in that they're kind of exactly what you look for. 6 foot, 6'1", so good size, not like long and awkward necessarily. And you can get some taller wide receivers that are well put together, like Ivan Carrion, for instance. But typically, you get to the taller realm with wide receivers, you get dudes who are spindly and run like Bambi, and they're just not as fluid. So if you can find a guy, and Jalil Farouk comes to mind as a great recent example, that's right around that 6'1" range, and he's got good muscle on his frame, and he's just got a really well-rounded game at wide receiver. I think, to me, Davian Gross and Jaden Warren both kind of fit that bill. It just comes down to what you like better, who you like better. And there are certain things I think Gross does a little bit better than Warren. Certain things I think Warren does a little bit better than Gross. They're both top 100 prospects, so both absolute studs. And Zach and Purcell points out on the text line, the credibility in all these guys being studs is the two of you not having identical lists. Yeah, like I said,
that's a really good
absolutely
point.
No wrong answer. I mean, I was taking a second look at Craig Dandridge's film.
So did I.
Earlier today. Was watching that over again this morning and thinking, man, this kid can go. Because right now he's only just ascended to blue chip territory. He may not be done rising. That could be like a top 150, top 200 dude.
You talk about a dude with some acceleration, too.
Yeah, he can get after it. So Emmett Jones has cast a broad net, as he should and as he does. And now whatever comes back in that net, when you reel it back in, I think you're going to be satisfied with. The Daniel Odom commitment was out of left field. I mean, to land a kid like that, give you another in on the West Coast, because it felt like Oklahoma was going to get that with Marcus Harris, and then they had to cut Marcus Harris loose. So to land a guy from Bosco man, the credibility that is going to lend you at that school and in that region in the future is significant, in addition to the fact that Daniel Odom's just a really dang good football player. We have a lot to get to over the course of the show, a lot to get to. Hopefully we can squeeze in all of the subject matter that I would like to discuss, because there's quite a bit of it. Obviously a pretty significant national story from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports earlier today surrounding the future of the NIL era, so I want to dig into that. JD in Tulsa, thank you for bringing up the question that I asked you to bring back up at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. Let's start with that on the other side, because JD asked, what are your thoughts on ESPN ranking OU's 2025 class, number 18 nationally and 10th in the SEC, as the most disappointing class? So let's dive into that on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is Deion Burks, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Hey, Sooner fans, we've got you covered. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. No, we don't get a break. This is the home of Sooner fans. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Ever wonder why someone would go to the ends of the earth and leap into the unknown? Maybe a better question is, what are you waiting for? Pacifico is brewed for those who follow their own path. That's living life anchors up.
Imagine one step, and suddenly a fall turns into a fracture. For many, osteoporosis is a hidden threat, weakening bones silently until it's too late. At the Ortho Central Bone Health Clinic, we believe in personalized care to keep bones strong and resilient. Led by advanced practitioner Amanda Boyd, our team specializes in detection and personalized treatment plans, from bone density testing to strengthening bones after a fracture. Take charge of your bone health today. Call Ortho Central's Bone Health Clinic and let's build better bones together.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. Valentine's Day is all about love, and we have gifts worthy of the day. Modern heart pendants and fabulous gold necklaces are sure to make her heart skip a beat. She might even have a wish list waiting for you. If you're looking to outdo Cupid, our Antwerp Diamond Supplier has brought in the best Antwerp has to offer. The selection and the prices are oh so sweet. Mitchell's Jewelry in the heart of Norman at 2201 West Main Street.
Ready for some pickleball fun? Join us at the Y-Fac for pickleball every Tuesday from 8 to 11 a.m. and Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. Grab your friends and hit the courts for a lively morning or evening game. If water fitness is your pleasure, Aqua Zuma classes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Go online at yfac.com to learn more about day passes and memberships.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Get hurt in a game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out, because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm LaToya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like LaToya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I have no idea what I did to deserve this. The answer is probably nothing. But Tyler McComas just walked in here with a frosted lemonade. For me. From our good friends at the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A. So I don't really know who to thank for this. But to whatever party was responsible for this, thank you immensely. I appreciate it. They didn't bring you anything, Grayson? Was it just me? I guess I just got... dang, I'm feeling like a celebrity.
Y'all just gonna leave me out?
I don't really know how to explain any of this.
I want some lemonade.
I don't know where this came from.
Oh, thank you, Tyler.
Oh, look at that. He delivers. What did he bring you?
Spicy Deluxe. That's my order anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course they brought the black man some chicken.
Well, they just brought me some chicken, too.
Ah, okay.
He said they brought the black man some chicken. By the way, congratulations to the NFL for ending racism. I don't know if you caught that yesterday, but they are removing the words "end racism" from their end zones.
That was reported like 2 weeks ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Was it just old news that recirculated?
Yeah.
I guess that could mean...
It's because people keep making jokes about it.
I guess that could mean one of two things. Either racism has been eradicated, in which case, thank you, NFL, or they're committed to bringing racism back and no longer want to attempt to end it, which in that case, NFL, we probably need to have some conversations. Some intentional conversations about where this is headed.
There were people throwing around that they got rid of it because Trump's going to be in attendance for the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was being thrown around Twitter by just, random people. Nobody credible.
CJ Sooner in Florida on the text line with a very good point. Grayson is the most front-running fan of all times. The Yankees and the Lakers. Come on, bro.
Through my teenage years, I had to sit through some dark years, man. Now, I know you guys, everybody knows that I'm a big city type of guy. New York's one of my favorite cities in the country. If you want the stories in short form, the Lakers, I just gravitated toward Kobe Bryant as a kid. That's
perfectly understandable.
That's how that worked. I didn't grow up with cable in our house. My parents didn't have cable. So the only baseball I ever watched was those Saturday night games on Fox.
Yep.
The nationally televised games. And when you're talking about 7, 8-year-old Grayson, which is 2008, 2009, circa that area.
Sure.
Who was on national TV the most?
It was the Yankees.
It was the Yankees.
Yep.
So that is how my gravitation to the Yankees started. So two stories. I know there's two different coasts. I get it. I get it. Looks weird, but there you go. That is the genesis of my fandom of the Lakers and the Yankees.
It's interesting. I'm actually a lapsed Lakers fan. The two allegiances that I was born into were the Lakers and the Dodgers, and that's because several members of my dad's side of the family attended Biola University.
Okay.
Bible Institute of Los Angeles
uh-huh.
is what it was originally. These days it's just Biola. They took the acronym, and that's what they call it, Biola University. But so my dad's whole side of the family, they're Lakers and Dodger fans, and I still root for the Dodgers quite happily. But I stopped caring about the NBA long ago. Probably right about the time where Kobe retired.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Lakers or Dodgers game?
I have. I don't think I have ever. No, I've been to one NBA game. I've been to a Thunder game. Just one Thunder game. It was 2019, I want to say. It was before COVID. Yeah, so it would have been 2019. It's the only NBA game I've ever been to. I have been to a Dodger game. It was years and years and years ago, May of 2007. I watched a Dodgers Diamondbacks game out at Chavez Ravine.
Okay.
It's fantastic. Hope I get to get back out there someday. I thought about making the trip. What would that have been, 2021 or 22, where the All-Star game was at Dodger Stadium? Thought about making that trip just to get back there because it's awesome. But
yeah, I'm gonna go to the Lakers game when they come to Oklahoma City in April. Those tickets are already stupid high too.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
That tends to be how it is every time the Lakers come to town.
I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, King James is in the building, and now Luka's going to be in the building. God knows what that's going to do to the tickets.
On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, again, JD in Tulsa, where did your text go? Here it is, yes. Wanted to get back to this. Wanted to start with this. What are your thoughts on ESPN ranking OU's class, which ranked 18th nationally and 10th in the SEC, as the most disappointing class? Well, look, first and foremost, I'm not shocked because ESPN tends to cover recruiting on a very surface level. There's not a lot of in-person evaluation and scouting and not a lot of road time, as we call it, that goes into ESPN's coverage of recruiting. And so their takes are generally going to be pretty standard, pretty nebulous, pretty typical. And so you're looking at where the SEC teams rank in recruiting. And sure, Oklahoma's sitting down there at number 18 in the nation, number 10 in the SEC, and you're thinking, boy, that's a major disappointment. But when you go a little bit deeper and you look at the reasons why this class is ranked lower than past classes for Oklahoma, Grayson, it doesn't come down to quality. It comes down to quantity. That's really the only reason.
Yes.
It's a matter of quantity. Oklahoma took 18 scholarship players. The only time, I believe in the entirety of the 21st century, that Oklahoma has taken that few in a recruiting class was in the 2021 class when they had no idea what the roster was going to look like for the coming season with the eligibility freeze. And the transfer portal was around, but it wasn't really what it is today. It wasn't free reign. You can transfer anywhere, anytime. So they had to be real persnickety about their takes in the 2021 class because they had to be mindful of the roster cap.
They had to be real what?
Persnickety.
What the hell?
You never heard that word before?
Nope.
Real particular. Is that better?
I figured that's what it meant,
yeah.
but I'm gonna add that one to the lexicon.
So that is why the class was so small in 2021. And the reason why you have a bit of a smaller class here in 2025 is that, for one thing, a lot of the same problems have cropped back up. Obviously, at the time it was COVID. You didn't know what your roster was going to look like because you didn't know who was still going to be around, who was able to come back. Because there were guys that were set to graduate after 2020, but all of a sudden they had a bonus year and they could come back for one more. Great example was Brian Mead, who used that 2021 season to set the career record at Oklahoma, which I believe has since been tied by Casey Kelleher for most career appearances in an OU uniform. And so at the time it was COVID that was creating all of those issues. Right now, it's the impending changes to scholarship limits and overall roster limits because whereas in the past it's been 85 scholarships and 120 total players, what it's going to become is 85 scholarship players and 105 total players and eventually 105 scholarships, and there will be no walk-ons. So that's the direction this all is moving, and that's the reason I think why Oklahoma went a little bit lighter in the 2025 class. That was always by design. They were always going to take a smaller amount in the 2025 class. So it's not just like, oh, they didn't get this guy or this guy or this guy, and then they just quit trying at that particular position. No, it was always going to be a light class. That's what it is. And that's the reason why the ranking is still pretty modest. I think it's impressive, Grayson, and I'm not trying to put like a sunshine pumper's take on it here, but it's pretty impressive when you can only take 18 players and you're still in the national top 20.
You're right. And when I saw this yesterday. It flashed across the screen while I was doing a show at Buffalo Wild Wings last night that Oklahoma's class was 18. And my initial thought was, it's probably because they took the small number of players that they did. It makes sense on a surface level. It does. And you're right about ESPN. They're beholden to their star rankings and their 300 and whatnot, which, look, that's all good and fine. I think your argument to that falls apart just a little bit because I'm looking at the 24/7 Sports rankings.
Okay.
Oklahoma is 17.
17?
Yes.
Okay. 17 on 24/7, 18 on ESPN. I believe they're 18 on Rivals as well.
18 on Rivals, 17 on 3. So it seems to be that this is a consensus that this is where Oklahoma is. Whereas 24/7 on 3, they go a little bit more in depth than ESPN does. I get that it's not a high bar, but they do go more in depth than ESPN does. And everybody across the board seems to think you're in that 17 to 20 range, give or take. So to me, when I see everybody thinking that makes me wonder, okay, is there something a little bit deeper here than just the small number of takes? I think that has 90% to do with it, but I do think there's something else there. Don't get me wrong. I think Oklahoma's class is great. I like their players to bring in, but especially a wide receiver. But when everybody's saying the same thing, I start to think there's more.
Well, it's because everybody's metrics as to how they measure the composite score, or whatever you want to label the final number, everybody's metrics are pretty much the same, which is it factors in both quality and quantity. So the incredible classes are going to be the classes like Texas A&M had in 2022, where not only did they land 9 5-stars in that class, but they had 32 overall commits and signees in that class.
Which is nuts.
So, yeah, those classes are going to be ridiculously high. Whereas if you have a very light class and a class that isn't all that talented, you're going to naturally rank near the bottom. And the schools that are somewhere in between that maybe have quality but they don't have quantity, which is the case for Oklahoma, or you have quantity but not quality, well, then your ceiling in the rankings is going to be capped. Because, and I'll tell you how Rivals does it, 24/7 requires a lot more math to explain it all, and I just don't really have much of a math brain, so they lay it all out in an article. But the way that Rivals does it is every single player is assigned a certain amount of points that goes into a team's overall score based on their ranking. They're assigned a specific amount of points. So let's just say, for the sake of the hypothetical, and this is not the case, but let's say for a 5-star, you get 50 points. For a 4-star, you get 40 points. Again, those are not the actual numbers, but just to provide a frame of reference. But what Rivals does is that they only factor the top 20 commits of a given class into the overall score. So let's say you signed 25 stars, right? 50 points times 20, you have 6,000 points. Or wait, my math is terrible. Yeah, no, that's right, 6,000. 600?
We're tracking.
600.
We're tracking with you.
Okay. I don't even know where that number came from. What? I'm stupid. That's 1,000. It's 1,000. Gosh, I was an absolute moron there for a second. 50 times 20 is 1,000. I don't know where I got the number 6. What on earth? So you have 1,000 points. Now, let's say you landed 25 5-stars. You're still at only 1,000 points because it's only factoring in the top 20. And so it's basically a cumulative score that factors in the individual rating score of each of your top 20 commits. So for Oklahoma only having 18 commits, they only have 18 players that are factoring into the equation as opposed to 20. So they're already a little bit short right there. Whereas if you gave them, I mean, let's say you threw 2 more players, 2 more good players, 2 more 4-stars into Oklahoma's class, well, odds are they're right there knocking on the door of the top 10 at that point. So I would make the argument that Oklahoma's class is squarely in the second tier. I don't think it is an elite class when you look at a hall like Texas had or a hall like Oregon had, for instance. Like, those are what you consider to be the elite classes of the 2025 cycle. And in terms of overall quality, I don't think Oklahoma quite has that. And that's borne out in the rankings. I think Texas signed 4 5-stars. Oklahoma signed 1. So the quality isn't quite there on an elite level, but I think it's squarely in that second tier. And if this were a regular size class for Oklahoma, I think you're right there in that 9 to 12 range in my mind, which is fine.
Robert in the YouTube chat, I don't know how to pronounce your last names, and I'm not going to give it a go, but he said he came in with this astute point. Recruiting services are like weatherman. You could line 10 of them up with the same information and get 10 different answers based on optics.
Yep. But hey, that goes back to why sports radio is so great, right? We can all watch the same game. We can all watch the same player. We can watch the exact same thing and have 100 different opinions of it.
I mean, look at our list of how we would build a wide receiver room next
Exactly.
year.
It's why we have a radio show, folks. It's what makes sports radio great, is that we say things that you agree with, and we say things that you disagree with. And you say things that we agree with, and you say things that not only we disagree with, but that everyone else on the text line disagrees with. That's why we try to make this show as interactive as possible. Again, Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is 405-651-3439. A 719 listener, that's the state of Colorado, says, because of the transfer portal, recruitment rankings are much less important now. We got Kennesaw State now. That was a serious text with a zinger at the end.
Serious to facetious real fast. A listener in the 405, I don't think anyone is disputing where they should be ranked. It's the fact that ESPN called OU's class the most disappointing.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's natural when you understand how ESPN covers recruiting, which is typically on a very surface level, where they're just looking at what it says on paper. And what it says on paper is OU has the number 18 class. And if you're mindful of OU's football tradition and where they have historically ranked in the realm of recruiting, and you don't necessarily understand or take time to consider that this was a lighter class for Oklahoma by design, of course you're going to look at OU down there at 18 and wonder, hey, what's going on? But in all actuality, this is pretty much right on track with the classes that Oklahoma has had in years past. I want to say they ranked 7th each of the last 2 years prior to 2025 and 9th in 2022, which, again, if you're looking at a full class for OU, a class that has, 22, 25 guys, you're probably looking at a class that's anywhere from 7th or 8th to 12th. So, as I see it, this is exactly the same type of class, exactly the same quality of class that Oklahoma has taken in each of the years that Brent Venables has been on staff. We're up against a break here on Locked In. We'll take one. I want you guys to keep chiming in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. And on the other side, want to work back around to it. Major college football news today regarding the reshaping and restructuring of all things NIL. And spoiler alert, the NCAA has far less power than the power conferences, which was certainly emphasized and highlighted by the news today. So we'll dig into Ross Dellinger's groundbreaking report for Yahoo Sports on the other side. You're listening to Locked In on the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Bleed Crimson? Love great Sooner talk? Join the Ref Army by downloading our free app. Toby and TJ, Plank and Josh, Steelman and Thune, and Teddy and Tyler. We have the Sooner experts. The Ref is home to Sooner fans worldwide.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Would you like to play a more active role in your health? At Hightower Clinical, we believe all Oklahomans should have access to new potential treatment options through clinical trial participation. Our team wants to support you with the best care possible through clinical trials. No health insurance is required. Compensation is available for eligible study participants, and study care is provided at no cost.
Having the chance to go through a trial and find out if something works for them and makes their life easier, I would recommend them do it.
To learn more, scan this QR code and visit our website.
Hello, Norman. This is Mayor Larry Heikela. I'm honored to have the endorsement of our brave firefighters and dedicated police officers. Their trust in my leadership reflects our shared commitment to keeping our community safe and thriving. Let's work towards solutions that ensure a safer, more prosperous future for all.
Hi, I'm Barry Switzer. I'm supporting Larry again for mayor. Vote for Larry on February the 11th. We need him again, I promise you.
Paid for and authorized by Mayor Heikela 2025 and endorsed by Fire and Police.
As we wonder why our kids are struggling, someone is getting bullied. As we discuss how to improve their mental health, someone is being harassed on social media. As we wonder why they're skipping school, someone is crying themselves to sleep. Knowing the signs is the best way to prevent bullying.
Please just leave me alone.
Learn the signs at sandyhookpromise.org.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey, all you electricians out there. Are you unhappy with your job? Ever feel like some employers see you as just a name on a time card instead of a human being? Well, at Wade Electric, they're a third-generation family-owned company serving the Norman and Oklahoma City area for over 50 years. They value their employees and want to help them succeed and enjoy their career in the electrical field. If you are unsatisfied with your current situation and are ready to make a change, call Wade Electric at 405-329-1940 to hear about their benefits and learn how to join the team.
Basketball season's here, and there's no better place to watch the Sooners than at Coach's Corner in Norman. Catch every thrilling play on tons of TVs, plus enjoy the coldest beer in town. But wait, Coach's Corner isn't just for game days. Join us Tuesday nights for bingo, Wednesday nights for Singo, and don't miss Thirsty Thursdays with unbeatable drink specials. With Soul Food Sundays, the best atmosphere for OU basketball, and events all week long, Coach's Corner is your go-to spot at the intersection of Lindsay and Berry, where every day is game day.
Life is full of big moments, and at OU Federal Credit Union, they are happy to help you make those moments happen. Thinking of buying a home? OUFCU offers mortgage loans with competitive rates and flexible terms. If you already own a home, their home equity loans can help you make those much-needed renovations or pay off high-interest debt. But it's not about the loans, it's about the people. Ready to make the next step toward your dreams? Visit OU Federal Credit Union today. Your home sweet loan is just around the corner. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Boy, let me tell you, I just housed that grilled spicy deluxe sandwich from our friends at the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A. Gosh, that could not have come at a better time. Thank you to the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A for providing lunch. An overdue lunch, for me at least, because I showed up to the studio anticipating that we were going to get the brown bag. I was unaware that our brown bag lunch had gotten pushed back to tomorrow, because Trevor LaFoon failed to send out an email alerting us of this change to the schedule.
He did send. Were you not on the text thread that he sent out?
I guess not.
Oh.
Maybe I was, and I just didn't get the text.
It did come out rather late.
No, I definitely wasn't on the text thread.
Oh.
Wow. I have been excluded. I am in the office out crowd. This is not an encouraging development.
I got nothing.
Steely and I are apparently the uncool ones now. We're the black sheep.
Well, I mean, Steely's over here talking about activities. So maybe
such as gooning.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I didn't want to resurrect that one, but
by the way, have you seen this? The number one player in the 2026 class.
I thought you were going to go to a totally different direction off of that.
No, sorry. I'm doing my best to pivot quickly, get us back on track before
Well done.
Before we get slammed with texts about gooning. The number one player in the 2026 class, at least according to On3, is an edge rusher by the name of Zion Ely.
Okay.
About 2 months ago, I think it was December, I guess he had a dream that he committed to Maryland, and so he woke up and he committed to Maryland. He committed to Maryland because he had a dream.
What is this, some Mary and Joseph type stuff where, the angel told Joseph,
your
don't
guess
be
is
afraid
as good as mine,
what?
But especially when I read that, especially when that detail came to light, I was like, okay, that's not sticking, right? And, of course, here we are, less than 2 months later, and just saw the tweet. 5-star Maryland Edge commit Zion Ely plans to take OVs to these 6 schools. Maryland, Auburn, Ohio State, Penn State, Texas A&M, South Carolina. I'm going to make the bold proclamation that he will not be a Terrapin on signing day. Good luck.
I'm with you on that.
It was fun while it lasted.
Did he really say, because I didn't see this story, did he really say he had a dream that he committed to Maryland and they committed to Maryland?
It was like, yep. His official statement was, I had a dream.
The last guy who had a dream got shot, but
I'm sure many have had dreams since him. Maybe not dreams that they proclaimed quite to the extent that
joke went way over your head.
What joke?
Never mind.
The last guy who had a dream got shot. Who are we talking about?
Blake just told you. I heard it through. I heard it.
That's what I assumed. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Just saying that's, 56 years ago now?
What did Ross Dellinger have to tell us?
Yeah, okay. Let's get to that. Moving on. Moving right along. Ross Dellinger, who, of course, is a fantastic senior college football reporter for Yahoo Sports, released this story today at 11:20 a.m. Central Time. He leads it with this. A committee of Power Conference administrators took significant steps this week toward the creation of a new entity that will govern the evolving professionalized aspects of college sports, a milestone moment in the industry's history. During a 2-day summit in the nation's capital, a transition team charged with operationalizing concepts of the House settlement inched closer to establishing a new structure to oversee, manage, and enforce the settlement-related athlete compensation system for all of NCAA Division I. The newly created LLC, overseen by a CEO or executive director, is centered on a new enforcement arm to police violators of the industry's new salary cap, and is expected to feature revenue-sharing policies and a corresponding penalty structure for violators. So basically, we're coming to the point here where the NCAA will no longer run college football. I mean, it kind of feels like they already don't. But we're officially coming to the point where the power conferences will be running college football and not the NCAA. Anytime the very first line of a story like this, with such sweeping implications, starts with a committee of power conference administrators, that's how you know the NCAA is past its prime, Grayson. The NCAA is washed. The NCAA is, well, actually, no, Wizards Jordan was still pretty good. The NCAA is Raptors Olajuwon.
Wow. Well done by you.
Celtics Shaq. What else we got? Who spent the twilight years of their career with a terrible team? Lakers Karl Malone.
I just refuse to admit that ever happened.
Uh-huh.
Mavericks Vince Carter, who was okay.
Yeah, listen, Vince Carter never lost the sauce. Vince Carter always had it. Till he was, he was still playing like 42. Anyway.
Yeah. Here, look, can I jump in here?
Yes, by all means.
In 30 seconds, you read a summary from Ross Dellinger, who is a fantastic reporter. So basically, we're going from chaos to a salary cap and a luxury tax real fast.
Pretty much.
And I'm here for it. There was an academic piece written when I believe I was a junior in high school, maybe a sophomore in high school. So this would have been 2017, around that area. And it was the first time I had ever heard and had ever been proposed of conference revenue sharing. Which, by the way, you know what revenue sharing is the crux of?
What's that?
How professional sports determine their salary cap. The players get a piece of the revenue, and you divide that by all the teams. There's your salary cap. I don't know what's so hard about this. figure out the revenue, and I know you've got to distribute this among the smaller sports, the non-revenue making sports, which I think is what complicates the situation. That's the only thing I can think of. You divide it amongst your schools, and I agree. You put this in the hands of the conferences. I don't think there can be just some. I don't know how better to say it, but some federal oversight here in terms of a big organization like the NCAA. You have to do this through the conferences. Find the revenue. The players get X percentage of the revenue. Divide amongst the teams. There's your salary cap to work with. If you want to do aprons like the NBA does it, great. If you want to do, you can go this far over the cap until you get to the luxury tax, like they do in the NFL. Fine, fantastic. But we cannot have things running rampant and teams with the deepest pockets being able to spend as much money as they want to, like the Yankees and the Dodgers. It cannot mirror Major League Baseball. So get you a salary cap, get you a luxury tax. Everything you just read, I love. And I think it's one step towards stabilizing this thing.
Some other notable information from Ross's story. Deloitte, the world's largest professional services network, will operate the new NIL clearinghouse, which is, and catch this, charged with determining fair market value of income earned by athletes outside of the school, i.e. name, image, and likeness deals. Deals affiliated with a booster group, or any entity deemed to be associated with the school are the only ones subject to the clearinghouse's more rigorous fair market value standard. Ross, very good writer, especially in the way that he lays things out. He has a whole section in this story entitled, "What Will They Police?" And here's the juiciest part of that whole graph of the story. The LLC is expected to employ a head investigator as well as a CEO or director who, perhaps with a small team of people, will be charged with being the ultimate decision maker on infractions cases using a more timely process than the one currently existing. Thank the Lord for that.
Mm-hmm.
Athletes whose outside NIL deals are found not to be at fair market value will be ruled ineligible if they execute those deals. As part of the settlement terms, there is a separate court-overseen arbitration system that serves as an appeals process for athletes who believe their NIL deals were unfairly struck down.
Okay. I like the fair market value thing. I do not like policing how much money people can make, especially in endorsements. And the whole salary cap thing, that's just how much you get paid as an employee directly, basically.
Correct.
I don't think you should be limited to what you can make in your endorsements. Now, collectives, they need to be policed. Collectives need to be policed.
Of course.
But in terms of if this is going to extend to, hey, I'm going to go to Fowler Automotive and they're going to give me this much money. Oh, but this one arbitrator thinks that that's too far above my fair market value, then I'll be ineligible. I think that's an overreach. But
and to your point.
Go ahead.
To your point, because Ross circles back around to this as well. The NCAA's projection of the year one cap is $20.5 million. However, some schools and their collectives are already gearing up to surpass the cap amount by generating outside NIL deals that may or may not meet fair market standards, a divisive issue that many believe poses legal problems. So you're on the right track there.
And here's the thing. Just like in major market sports, whether it's the LAs, the Miamis, the New Yorks of the world, there will always be built-in advantages to different schools. As long as there is some sort of standard of how we're going to make this fair. In this case, $20.5 million is salary cap. Great. But again, an athlete that goes, and I know we're short on time here, an athlete that goes to New York, an athlete that goes to LA is going to have more lucrative endorsement opportunities than an athlete that signs with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's just the reality of the situation because of geographics. So I don't think you should undercut those geographical or built-in advantages, but we are taking a step toward stability if this goes through.
You know who I don't doubt will have some very interesting thoughts on this particular subject matter? The former Butkus Award winner.
Oh, I know he
Lehman.
will.
And fortunately, folks, We're going to get to hear from Teddy Lehman in just a few moments because Grayson and I are out of time for today's installment of Locked In. Boy, it has been an adventure. We've covered a lot of ground in the past hour. We will cede the floor to Tyler McComas and Teddy coming up on the other side. Thanks to those of you that have chimed in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line throughout the show. Thanks to Dorsey Jones Buick GMC for sponsoring the show today and every day. The Rush is coming up next, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network. Grayson and I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.